Here.
Board Member Holland?
Present.
Board Member Shoemaker?
Present.
Board Member Tabalt? Board Member Vitale?
Here.
Vice Chairman Faust?
Here.
Chairman Miller?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Next, we would like to approve the meeting minutes for November 5th, 2014 and December 15th, 2016. First, just open up the discussion. Is there any discussions, or do we have a motion of action?
A motion to approve minutes from 11/5, or 12/15/2016.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve November 5th, 2014, December 15th, 2016 minutes. Are we all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And next, we have a call to the public. And the call to the public is intended for speaking on topics not listed later on the agenda. If your comment or concern is regarding an item later in the meeting, please wait until the board opens that agenda for public comment. The board requests that you fill out a speaker card to make proper record of your comment. Anyone wishing to address the board, please approach the podium. And do we have any cards filled out? Okay, so I'll close call to the public. And I'm sorry. Okay, so did you fill out a card? Okay.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we have time for this now or not, but I want to oppose the variance, which is being asked for by D.R. Horton. My name is Don Pretekel. I live at 43558 West Snow Drive. Pritekel.
So if it's part of the variance request, you would be given a chance to speak during that public hearing.
Right. Thank you. And you have if you have a speaker card, if you'd fill that out and give it to the secretary, and she'll complete that for you. Okay, so I'll close the call to the public and open up the public hearing. And understand that the staff will present the items to the board, followed by the applicant. And once that's finished presenting the agenda items, then you may I'll open up the for public hearing. And so we'd like to open up to staff right now.
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Board. If we can get staff's presentation, we'll get all the facts laid out, and then hopefully once everybody's informed of what the variance requests entail, it'll have a more fruitful public hearing process, and you'll be able to better understand if there's concerns from the public. Well, he hasn't actually. Okay. For reference, these case numbers reference public hearing numbers 17-02 and public hearing 17-03 as agendized as items 5.1 and 5.2. So this is a public hearing. The variance cases are within the villages. They are about front setback encroachments, and both cases, while you see both case numbers in front of you, they're pretty much identical requests. They just happen in two different locations. Here we have an aerial image of the villages. Parcels 5 and parcel 6 are highlighted. Starred are the general locations of where those lots that have the variance requests tagged to them. Variance 1601, variance 1602. And we have to the north Smith Inc. Road. To the south we have Honeycutt Road. A little ways to your west you have the main thoroughfare through town, State Route 347. And so within these parcels are well within the overall village's planned area development. So pretty much everything adjacent to it is also the village's. Same setback standards apply. development standards that come before you for looking for relief have to do with the front setback. And in the PAD zoning, the front setback is simply front 18 feet from back of sidewalk, which is largely seen as the front of the garage face and livable and porch. There is a caveat to that with an asterisk. Front setback may be reduced 10 feet for side entry garages. That is the specific PAD zoning for front setbacks within this community and this community alone. That's the nature of planned area developments. They customize setbacks, development standards, and within the villages specifically, that front side setback is 18, as I previously read. Now, in a perfect world, that language would have transferred to the plat verbatim, but somehow along the way, the final plat had a front side setback that was defined a little differently. Minimum front side setback of 18 feet, same asterisk, but the asterisk, once you get down into it, it reads a little differently. 18 feet measured from back of sidewalk to face of garage. Front setback may be reduced to 10 feet if garage is side entry or garage is setback minimum of 18 feet. So, as the zoning code seems to indicate, we're to interpret that the strictest shall apply in many cases. So that's, as administrators, that's the best that we could do, is to try to hold the developer to the more restrictive PAD zoning language. Exhibits that were provided to this body show the PAD development standards, as I've previously outlined. And here are quick clips from the final plat, as previously outlined. Here in the final plat setback insert, you see a better graphic image of what the front side setback is in relationship to the sidewalk, the right-of-way, side setbacks from a side street deviate a little bit, but both of these regard interior lots. So the lot to the right in this typical lot setback inset would be the one that's applicable to these cases. So here is a quick aerial view of variance case 16-01 on Snow Drive. That vacant lot between those two buildings. So there's a lot of development that originally occurred under a different home builder. There seems to be a trend that's been established there where all homes strictly abide by that 18 front side setback. And the case before you is dealing with a lot the size of 60 feet wide by 110 feet deep. The APN and the lot information is there. The building size that is slated for development is 2,039 square feet, and elevation and floor plan unaltered as previous approvals have allowed. Through that design review approval, we did see that a lot typically of this size would allow the typical footprint of this house to easily fit within those setbacks. So, and that's what we encouraged, or that's what we expected going forward. Variant 1602, very much the same situation. Lot size is a little narrower, 55 feet versus the 60 feet. The plan that was to be built here had already gone through a design review approval showing a typical size lot of its size would fit a plan of this size within the setbacks. Here's a picture of the current front face of the home in question for variance 16-01. Here's the front of the home that is in its current condition for variance 1602. You'll note that in the bottom right-hand corner of both of these photos, the date that the permit was issued is noted for both. Now, permits were issued for these homes in error. That error was shared by both city staff and the applicants. Highlighted in pink on these on these plot plans, you will note how much of that building footprint is encroaching into the front side setbacks of these lots. And there's not an accurate measurement to the inch, but it's somewhere between 2 and 3 feet is what we've been told, and by our building inspectors and the applicants. So, plan number 40212B is for variance case 1601. Plan 4030B is for variance case 16-02. Just a quick note that the public notices for this public hearing were adhered to. Staff made sure of that. In the mailed notice and the posted notice, there was also the mention of a neighborhood meeting that was held December 22nd, 2016 at 6 p.m. You received the minutes of that meeting in your packets. I'll quickly kind of give you the overview of the comments that we've received to date. Staff has not received any comments directly, but in the neighborhood minutes that were prepared by the applicant, I did want to bring one to your attention. Mr. Don Pritikel is noted as an immediate neighbor in Lot 7 adjacent to Lot 8, which is regarding variance case 16-01. And his concern was over property value. And the other participants that were noted in that public meeting, or that neighborhood meeting that was held by the applicant, all those comments that were provided really didn't weigh into your decision here on the variance cases. So we'll get into the required findings as defined in the zoning code. Now, I just want to review this language so that you're well aware of what the parameters for you to consider in making your findings tonight. Variance applications shall only be granted if the Board of Adjustment determines that the project is submitted or as modified conforms to all of the following criteria, in addition to any criteria that may be required or associated with the specific request. If it is determined that it is not possible to make all of the required findings, the variance application shall be denied. The specific basis for denial shall be established for the record. So required findings, A through B, highlighted for your understanding of where staff is coming from in our recommendation, specifically with regard to the surroundings and the physical nature of the lots were not deviated from the surrounding lots, did not deviate from a typical lot that could have met typical setbacks. And the self-imposed hardship test, we felt that although staff had a hand in that, that the applicant also had a hand in the self-imposed nature of what's come to fruition. And without further ado, the staff recommends, based on our interpretation of the language of the required findings, that we recommend denial of both variance case 16-01, and we also recommend denial of case variance 16-02. And with that, we'll open up the floor for the applicant to make their case to you, and maybe help you with the language of the zoning and as they see it.
Thank you.
Can we load the applicant's PowerPoint, please?
Members of the board, my name is Patrick Brown with D.R. Horton. The address is 20410 North 19th Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. Appreciate the time to speak on behalf of the matter before you of the two variances that is before you today. Give you a little bit more of the history on this is we're seeking a variance to allow livable to encroach past the setback by 2 feet on Lot 8 of Parcel 5 and Lot 71 on Parcel 6 of the villages. The front setback language, as mentioned by staff, was misinterpreted by D.R. Horton as well as the city of Maricopa. D.R. Horton constructed 2 homes up to the frame stage, as you've seen in those pictures, under these permits. Staff and D.R. Horton also discovered that there were 2 other homes that were also misinterpreted by both staff and D.R. Horton regarding this. In both these instances, D.R. Horton worked with staff diligently, although we've spent significant capital getting plumbing installed and getting ready to actually pour slabs. We stopped immediately and moved those 2 homes back to meet the 18-foot front setback to livable. D.R. Horton's team interpreted, as well as I would argue staff, interpreted livable to be equal as to side-loaded garages because, frankly, of our experiences in Homestead within the city of Maricopa, as well as other municipalities. Allowing livable to encroach into front setbacks encourages non-garage dominant houses. So that is a positive thing that is seen in the eyes of the planning staff as well as ourselves. This is a diagram of the city of Maricopa, the village's PAD, and the Homestead Glenwild PAD, where most of the current building is occurring today. And most of and why I bring that up is the villages, except for these 60 lots that we purchased, is pretty much was built out in the late 2000, I think as late as kind of the 2010. So nothing has really occurred in the villages from D.R. Horton's perspective as well as staff's perspective. However, Homestead Glenwild has been very active, so that's what they've been most used to looking at reviewing. And in the Homestead Glenwild PAD, it allows for both side load garage and livable to encroach up to 10 feet. So I just want you to put that in the mind of both ourselves as well as staff when they're reviewing this, that's what's been accustomed to in the city of Maricopa. The other thing I wanted to point out is greater all of just planning good practices. And what you see in most other Arizona municipalities, even in their development code, and I just listed 3 for you, the town of Gilbert, the city of Peoria, the city of Mesa. I can tell you that the city of Phoenix has a similar requirement as well, where they look at both side load garage and livable as equal. So they allow for, if the front building setback is 20 feet, but if you have a 10-foot livable, you can encroach up to 10 feet into that setback area with both livable or side load garage. And the reason they do that is because they're trying to de-emphasize the first thing you see is the garage. So they try to actually encourage builders to put livable or side load in front of that garage. And that's what we have on both of these plans. So although we don't meet the 18-foot setback, in good planning practices, we're actually adding more value by pushing livable forward in front of that garage. So that is really what's happened here. It's a complete misinterpretation of the code by both D.R. Horton and staff. I feel like we've worked with staff once this issue came up immediately. We ceased work. We've taken additional cost on 2 homes that were at a stage where we were able to do so. We're coming before you today because we're at a stage where the homes are framed. We're at kind of a point of no return. So there's been significant capital spent by D.R. Horton building these homes today under the permit that was issued by the city of Maricopa. So we're looking for your approval on this variance. And as I mentioned, I know we have concerns from local residents, and we're sympathetic to that. But in good planning practices, it allows for both livable and side load garage to be looked equal, and that's what we're asking you to look at it today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. And next, I now have a speaker card. So we'll open up the public hearing. And we have Don Pritko.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I am in opposition of the variance being passed. My house is next door to the house in question here. You know, building codes are there for a reason. And it doesn't matter if you're in Gilbert, Peoria, Mesa, you know, what the building codes are here is what they should be. You know, they're asking for a special variance for these houses, but in doing so, you know, they're violating the building codes. They violate 506.03B, 506.06B, and additionally, they violate 506.06C. Because, you know, that would grant D.R. Horton special privileges inconsistent with the limitations of setback lines imposed upon other properties in the development. When you drive around my neighborhood, all the houses are lined up real nice and even, and then you got the one that sticks out. And I feel that it's going to possibly affect the value of my house, but I don't know, you know, unless I sell my house. But I think that there could be some loss of value on my house because of that. And that's why I'm in opposition of it. That's about all I got to say.
Okay. Thanks for your time and your comment. And so at this time, the public hearing is now closed for item 5.1 and 5.2. And so we'll go ahead and we'll move on for the regular agenda. And so it's a variance request, which is the VAR 16-01 by D.R. Horton, seeking review for the front setback for parcel 5. And so then we do our discussion right now for what information that we received. So I'd like to open the floor for discussion on item 16, variance 16-01.
I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And the applicant can do so as well.
Are there any questions for staff?
It's my understanding that the fact of a mutual...
I'm sorry.
It's my understanding that the fact of a mutual mistake is not a valid reason under 506. In other words, we can't create sort of administratively an amendment of the statute, even though the city may have had some responsibility for the problem. Am I correct about that?
Chairman, members of the board, that is one reading of it, yes, of the language. It's really up to the board to see if there's, within the list of the required findings, if that is applicable to this situation. But that is staff's recommendation and read of the code as well.
So on 506.06B, it states here that the special circumstances or conditions are pre-existing, are not created or self-imposed by the owner of applicant. So it kind of seems in this case to be a bit of a gray area in light of the mistake. You know, it does seem 50-50 both for D.R. Horton and the city. You know, maybe this is a better question for our legal counsel, but I mean, is there unintended consequences if we were not to approve this in terms of, you know, legality to the city?
Mr. Chairman, I think with regards to those questions, if you want to have an executive session, I think we can have an executive session, but with regards to the potential legal impact to the city, I think that's something we'd want to talk about in an executive session.
Okay.
I agree with that, definitely, yeah. I'm for it. An executive session, yeah.
Okay. All right. If I may, I want to say real quick, you know, I have been
I practiced civil engineering for a long time, and I've been involved in this type of work for a long time, and I am extraordinarily sympathetic to the position of the applicant here. And I think that, given all the circumstances, is it really going to make a huge, big difference with the position of the home and the livable space requirement and all the rest of that stuff? Probably not. But the problem I have is that, for me personally, I don't find that the application meets the standard legally. I'm sorry, I can't see it. I don't recognize that there is a responsibility per se of the city or the governing body to catch mistakes that are made by the applicant. And in this case, unfortunately, the applicant shows that mistakes were made. And not only that mistakes were made, but that the change was actually made on other lots where they said, okay. So there's no argument. I don't see that there's an argument that says this is the way it should be. I see an argument as, well, this is what happened, and now we're in a bad spot and we got to get out of it. But I don't find that it meets the special standards. And I don't know if I'm way overstepping here, but it would seem to me that if there's a conflict or a misinterpretation, that an amendment to the PAD would be a more appropriate response than a variance in this case, especially given the layout of the existing houses. So for me, I just, as much as I think that it's a really bad situation, I just don't think it meets the standard that we've been given to address for a variance. So I would not be in favor at this time of granting that variance under these circumstances.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, there we go. I understand, accept the analysis of our colleague. It does seem like a harsh result for the builder, but we have to interpret the rules and regulations strictly because people rely on them. And it's unfortunate, particularly where the builder appears to have done everything reasonable to work with the department. But that's the way the regulations are written, and I don't see any ambiguity there. I do not think that the variance can be granted.
Any more discussion? Okay. So then in order for me to go in executive decision, do I need to close this item and then move forward on the agenda? I'm not from...
No, Mr. Chairman, you can ask for a motion, and if there's a motion and you vote to go into executive session, we can go in at this time.
Okay. I would like to ascertain a motion to move into executive session for legal counsel. Is there anybody in favor?
I second.
Gotta get it first.
Oh. I make a motion to go into executive counsel.
Okay, Mr. Holland seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I would say no, but
One opposed.
One opposed. Okay, well, we're in executive session.
Yeah, I'll get Montezuma.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Okay, so we'll go back to the regular agenda. We'll start off with the variant 16-01. That's by D.R. Horton, seeking review and approval for front setback encroachment on Lot 8 within the Villages, Parcel 5. And is there any more discussion?
I would move to deny the variance on 16-01.
Okay, we have a motion to deny variance 16-01. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the
Your-
motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I think for the record, we need to identify a little bit more about what our rationale is.
Yes.
My thinking is that there are only two reasons why the variance is really requested. One was the mutual mistake of fact, and the other is hardship. And neither of them fit within the requirements of 506. I don't think we have any discretion, particularly where the law requires a strict interpretation of the regulations.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, does anyone have any concerns with Commissioner statements at all? I just want to make sure that was the position of the Board of Adjustments.
No problem.
No problem. Okay, so we'll move next to 16.2, which is the variance request, VAR 16-02 by D.R. Horton, seeking review and approval for front setback encroachment on Lot 8 within the Villages, Parcel 5. Discussion, actually, that's, one moment. They got this, actually, they got this variance 1.02, they got the Parcel 5, that's the same? Lot 8, so they got that from this typo.
Parcel 6, parcel 6.
Yeah, it'd be Parcel 6. There's actually a typo in here. But it'll be for the variant 16-02. Is there a motion?
I move to deny the variance on 1602 for the same reasons that we denied it on 1601.
I second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And next, we have a report from, any reports from the board or staff? I would like to make a report of activities that's unagendized. Okay. And next, we have a motion, oh, sorry, Kazi?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, a member of the board, good evening. I just wanted to inform you about our future meetings. Typically in the past, we always had a meeting on a Tuesday, the night of council. Whenever the council meets, we try to arrange BOA meeting on that day, and we meet early, around 4 o'clock. And then when this meeting is over, then the council meeting starts at 6. So if that is all right with you, I want to keep you guys noticed on that time frame. So next meeting it'll coincide with the council meeting date, but it'll start at 4 o'clock, if you keep that in your calendar for future reference.
Okay. And that's the first and third?
Yeah, that's typically
Tuesday.
when the council meets, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll use only one of those, yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, and we adjourn.